Welcome everyone. I greatly appreciate you taking a moment to check out this video, and I believe that the subject matter in this video is going to help many of you relieve some of the pressure that you put on yourself. I believe that it's going to help you to make sense of your life, of you, yourself. And I believe that so many of us are constantly living with internal conflict and stress and insecurities, and we're constantly beating ourselves up because we are striving for perfection. And this is why I decided to do this video. Think about this. We're constantly living with a disappointment or an expectation. We're never truly meeting our goals consistently. And what does that do? It constantly feeds us a negative, that something didn't turn out the way that we wanted it to, or we're beating ourselves up because we weren't good enough or didn't do as much. And many of us are constantly, over and over and over again, feeding ourselves self-sabotage. Our insecurities become the ruler of our existence, and we begin to compromise ourselves and our lives. This idea of perfection comes from the ego. Our ego, which feeds us a false sense of reality. It's constantly feeding us the information, the things that we need to do, should do, have to do in order to be happy. So it keeps us unsettled. It's never settled. It's constantly having us looking and doing, and it feeds us with disappointment because we can rarely be perfect. Life is not meant to be perfect. Yet our ego gives us this idea that maybe it is, and it's not. The perfect of life is its imperfectness. That's the reason we've come here. If we don't make mistakes, if we don't have faults, if we don't go through difficult times, then rarely will we learn our greatest lessons, those tests of strength and faith and hope. So in life, don't expect perfection. Accept what is as already perfect, because then you cannot set yourself up for disappointment. Our insecurities are constantly ruling our existence. We're constantly doing more or being better or trying for greater, when in fact we're missing the moment right now. We are sitting in a place of confusion because we've put our happiness somewhere else. You know, if I only did this, if I could have that. We're putting our happiness out somewhere that doesn't exist. So what does that say to you? We're not happy in the moment. So many people come to me for therapy and counseling, and I hear it very often. If I could only lose 50 pounds, I would be happy. Well, that's you saying to the universe that I can't be happy now. That my so-called imperfectness is keeping me from the thing I desire the most. This is what we have to start paying attention to. Life is imperfect. We were made imperfect. And through that, there's beauty in it. There's actually purpose and reason for it. We've come here to go through this journey of brokenness. We're not, if it was perfect, wouldn't we be where we're all expecting to go after this? Heaven? Heaven is perfect. That is where we are existing in perfection and brilliance and euphoria and true love. Here is the difficult journey of learning. It's spiritual boot camp. It's earth school. And so you need to give yourself a break. When you make a mistake, when you consider something to be a mistake, there could actually be great purpose for that mistake. Because we can learn our self-forgiveness. We can learn to love ourselves more. But many of us are continuously being sabotaged by our ego. Like, you made a mistake. So now what happens? We start to feed the negative and our insecurities start to take over. And now we go within ourselves and cause a conflict. Instead of realizing that that mistake may have been purposeful and it happened in order for you to learn a great lesson about yourself. We need to, each one of us, let go of the idea that there's perfection. Only, in my opinion, God created perfection. We are striving to become close to it. And here on earth is a journey that we have made for ourselves, created with desire, and to learn and to grow and to gain enlightenment and to advance, to ascend here on earth and then in the spiritual realm. Life is a series of events, a situation that your soul created to go through both good and bad. If life was a perfect walk in a park, again, where would the great learning be? You might appreciate things, you might have gratitude, but I promise you, life will always show up as what you need first and give you back more of what you want. So when we live in this idea of perfection, I believe that many of us exist in a place of confusion. Because if there is no ability to be absolutely spot on perfect, then we're chasing our tail. Then we're spending a lot of time exhausting ourselves with a notion that we may never be able to accomplish. But if you see the perfectness in the imperfect, if you begin to believe that that imperfect is creating an opportunity for you to learn something beautiful, then it switches the perspective to that of your spirit. And now will show you that you are living perfectly. A really wonderful book for those of you out there who are interested in this is a book by Brene Brown, The Gifts of Imperfection. It truly is an inspiring book, an informative book, something that I think will encourage you. But we need to take the pressure off of ourselves. We live with expectations every day, and expectations set us up oftentimes for failure. Because we're saying to the universe, we want. This is what I need to get to that will make me happy, will keep me in a place of comfort. Maybe we're not supposed to be in that comfort, because through that uncomfortableness is a test of your own self-worth. When you change the verbiage from need and want, that's the ego, and you change it to desire, then you're leaving yourself open and you're connecting to your spirit. And that in that, I believe, I really truly believe that in using that word desire, we create more of what we want. But when we're specifically using want and need to satisfy ourselves, to keep ourselves comfortable, I don't believe that that's going to really mend and embrace what our soul is looking to do here. Let go of the idea of perfect and look more at what God created as perfection. Sometimes there's darkness that needs to go on, and that darkness we've been conditioned to believe is wrong or negative or bad. But in the big scheme, isn't that a perfect way of learning about the light? We need to find the balance and understand and appreciate both good and bad, both right and wrong. And we need to then choose the best version of ourselves, which will embrace all of the positive emotions, which will bring about positive change, which will then collectively change the world. But many of us are within ourselves each day, mindful and mind-sabotaging ourselves with what we don't have, what we need, what we want, what we did wrong, what's going on that we feel is incorrect. That is all outside noise. The perfectness that you'll find is the connection to your spirit, because it truly understands that everything is and has a purpose and a reason. That there is no bad, that there is only opportunities. And this is what our soul desires. And as each one of us goes within ourselves, starts to love ourselves and truly become better, without holding anyone else accountable, without holding a situation, a circumstance, or an event as accountable to who we are. When we grasp that notion and start to raise our integrity, to love ourselves, to really go out there and lead by example, to be an empathetic, kind individual, to show compassion, to love everyone, then when that happens, we can then join forces together and become a huge, huge force of positive change. But until then, we're living in this imperfect idea that's keeping us self-sabotaging and then creating sabotage throughout the entire world. There is nothing here on earth that isn't meant to be. Hard to imagine when the human looks at something negative, because we want to judge it, we want to call it what it is, and we want to attach to the negative that it brings us. But in every opportunity, there's a positive. And we need to switch the perspective from thought to feeling, from our ego to our spirit, and then realize that everything right now in this moment, everything is perfect. Not the perfection that our ego is searching, but the perfection that our soul has given us. This opportunity and this brilliant journey that we are all experiencing right now is the greatest gift you will ever know. This is your one shot as you. This is your one opportunity to really fix what your soul is desiring. Take everything in your life and see it as a beautiful chance, an opportunity. Wake up each morning and excited to be alive. And the negatives that your head will tell you, the things that are sad or disappointing or frustrating, the things that invoke anger or pain, start to look within yourself and find the gift in the test. Start to say, well, if this is happening, which is humanly sad, then there's something my soul desires to learn through it, and what can I take positive from it? This will shift the perspective. It will allow you to now mend and nurture and embrace your spirit, and it will give you a comfortability that you've never had before. That's the true example of living a spiritual life, is to live within your spirit, to find balance between your ego and your spirit, but to embrace that part of you, that greater part of you, to live a more blissful and blessed life. That's what we're all here for. But if you're going to feed the negatives, if you're going to live with this idea that I'm striving for perfection, what the ego thinks is perfect, it's not ever going to happen. There is no perfection within our ego, but there is in our spirit. The spirit has a greater picture, a much greater understanding, an infinite wisdom that allows it to see and understand fully what the ego and the mind cannot. So please recognize the beauty in your life. See all the good. Know that what your head is telling you that you need to make you happy is a false sense of reality. Let your spirit show you that there is good in everything, and it's a choice. Every day we are met with conflict because we're constantly shown disappointment and frustration, especially with where the world is today. We're constantly met with resistance and anger and blame. But what is that? Where's the perfection in that? What is our spirit looking for that would be perfect? Compassion, forgiveness, kindness. That's how we learn. But to feed those negatives, to not understand them, to stay in thought, to analyze, we're only keeping ourselves in a place that is never going to give us what we truly desire. So I ask each and every one of you, stop looking at life as being or supposed to be perfect. It's an imperfect journey to create perfection within your spirit. Your spirit already knows it. It already has the sense of wisdom. But that ego part of us, it's our nemesis. It's the one part of us that keeps us, pulls us away from the destiny that we are supposed to be living here on earth. So look at your life each day as an opportunity. Grow with it. Learn from it. Become better. Detach from your desire and need to judge other people, to hold other people accountable, and only keep yourself in the spotlight. Watch how your life starts to change. In the midst of confusion, there'll be light. In the darkness, you will see that there will be a beacon of light. That's how this works, because our soul can raise us up far greater than our ego can. And once you realize and learn and become empowered and enlightened, then you see the true perfection in this journey. I hope that this made sense for you guys, and I hope that it encourages you a little bit. Let yourself relax. Take the pressure off of you. You're not meant to be perfect. And in that, there's such great beauty and so much reward. Let yourself just be you. And each day choose to connect to that spirit, that wisdom, that enlightenment, and use that perspective. And I promise you, you'll be so much greater, satisfied, and you'll sleep better, have more peace and rest, and you will lessen the anxiety and the overall stress in your life. We all need to look at the emotions that we've been given this lifetime. And there are true perfections in those. But as anything, there's good and bad in everything. The bad is connected to what your thought and your ego is telling you. The good is connected to your spirit. So take the good of each emotion that you have, especially love. Love yourself. Love yourself because you're imperfect. Love life because it's imperfect. Get out of the expectation and the notions that were created by that thought, that repetitive thought in your ego, and watch how you become a happier person. I hope that you can use this in your daily routine. I hope that it make sense for you, and you can maybe share it with somebody else. Because the most important thing for us right now in history is for all of us to take accountability for ourselves, for all of us to really show up and be the greater version of ourselves. And so that we can walk hand in hand together and join together collectively and help to change this world back to the beautiful existence that I truly believe it was meant to be. So I thank you for listening. I hope that you find some good in this. I hope that you can leave this video feeling inspired and feel good. If there's anything else I can help you with, please go to my website at heavenshealingguidance.com. If there's anything that you should need, please reach out to me. I wish you all beauty. And I wish you all a strong connection to your spirit, that part of you that already knows how beautiful and wonderful you are, that already sees the gift and the perfection in the imperfectness. And I hope that from today on, you live a spiritual path that will bring you back the rewards that you truly desire. So be well, take care of yourselves, guys, and remember, I'm always here for you, and I love you. Take care.